And I remembered it.
Of course you did.
So it came up 2.5 years ago, and I didn't take it very seriously. I thought, well, this is kind of a silly thing. But we still posted what the state of Hawaii provides, which is a certification of live birth. It's essentially a copy of the actual birth certificate, and we posted that. And we explained how there were a birth announcement in the Honolulu Advertiser back in 1961, and it seemed unlikely that my 18-year-old mother had plotted at the time, saying, you know what, he's going to be president, so let's pay off the newspapers. So we assumed that this would just kind of go away. And then it kept on building, and I was amused by it. We would joke about it.
I wasn't.
She wasn't.
You weren't amused by it. What were you saying about it?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. So the bottom line is this, though. 2 weeks ago, a huge debate was initiated around where our budget needs to go. And during the course of this major debate, where I gave a big speech and the Republicans voted on their proposal, the biggest news was this birth certificate. And my general point is this. We are living in a very serious time, and America has huge potential and opportunity to seize the 21st century. We're only going to get there, though, if we have a serious conversation about the things that matter to people.
Yeah.
Jobs and gas prices, and how do we bring down the deficit, and how do we deal with all the changes going around the world. And we can't be distracted by sideshows and, as I said at my press conference, carnival barkers who are going around trying to get attention instead of actually solving problems.
Do you think that there's a disconnection in general in terms of sideshows and carnival barkers? I asked that of both of you.
Well, I think what's happened is that the line between entertainment and politics has blurred. And so reality TV is seeping into how we think about our politics. And, when I am reading letters at night about families who are at risk of losing their homes, or describing to me what it's like when you send out 16 resumes and you're not getting a response back, and you're trying to figure out how to pay your bills. It's not reality TV. That's real, and that's what we have to spend some time about.
During the civil rights movement, I remember there was this wonderful documentary called Eyes on the Prize, and there was a phrase where we talked often about keeping our eyes on the prize. Do you think that the American people have lost a sense of what the prize is, and therefore lost our focus?
I don't think that the American people have lost their sense of what the prize is, but in terms of our collective political conversation, I think we get distracted all the time.
Yeah.
The thing that I've always loved about my husband is that he's always been the person that can keep his eye on the prize in the midst of some craziness. And I think that's what makes him a special leader.
I woke up this morning, I was thinking, first of all, excited that you were coming. And I was thinking about every human being wakes up on the planet with the hope for that day to have as few problems as possible.
Yeah.
You don't get that. That you wake up and all of our problems become your problems. How do you compartmentalize and categorize them in such a way that you can carry that burden? Because you still are, first and foremost, a human being who has this role that we elected you to as President of the United States. But how do you do that?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to remember that I'm not there alone.
Yes.
I mean, I've got this incredible staff, an incredible cabinet. You've got people who don't get any notice, they don't get any publicity, who do great work. There's a bunch of people in our government who are every day thinking, how do we do a good job on behalf of our customers, the American people? And I don't think they get enough credit.
That's right, we're your customers.
That's right.
Yes.
You and our bosses.
Yeah.
And so that inspires me.
But the truth
and then
is
I pray a lot.
Like on your knees, pray?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Abraham Lincoln said if you weren't praying before you were president,
It'll make a believer in prayer out of you, right? Yeah. Do you pray?
Yeah, we do. We do every day. We pray before our meals. We're trying to get the girls into good habits of being thankful and grateful. So we try to give back what we get, because we know that there are a whole lot of people praying for us. That we know. Everywhere we go, we know.
But back to the question of how you prioritize. Do you wish you had started with the economy and not with healthcare? If you had to do it over?
Well, Oprah, I've got to tell you, we did start with the economy. Remember, the first thing we did was pass a Recovery Act that
Kept us from being in the breadlines.
kept us from going into a Great Depression. It cut taxes for 95% of Americans. It provided states with the assistance they needed to prevent layoffs of teachers and firefighters and police officers. And then we also put people to work rebuilding our roads and our bridges all across the country. So that was our first priority, along with making sure that the financial system didn't melt down.
On Facebook, when you had that big conference recently, you were saying that these are the most tumultuous times that you've ever witnessed in your lifetime. And we all know that the country has been through more difficult times. There have been wars and other challenges. What do you think defines this as the most tumultuous?
What's happening is that there are these big global changes, and the world is more integrated because of technology. We know what's happening on the other side of the world instantly.
And that's a good thing.
And that's a good thing. But what it also means is that if there is a problem one place, it can move around the globe very rapidly. So what happens in Libya suddenly affects oil prices here. What happens because of a subprime loan in California can cause Iceland to be bankrupt. And so you've got all these different forces moving very rapidly all at the same time.
Have you been disappointed at how difficult it is to get things done?
It can be painful to watch. But, you know, Barack was in the Senate for many years, and I think he had a taste of how challenging it is when you work in a democracy. And that's one of the beauties of our country. We have a democracy, which means, I always tease people, Barack is not a dictator, and that's a good thing. So he can't just go in and say, healthcare shall be, and now let's go and implement it. It requires congressional cooperation and a whole range of cooperative actions that make our country great, but it makes the process difficult and slower than I think many people would like. But I think the alternative is not something that we want as a nation. We